Okay, welcome guys to today's empowered training. The topic today is something that is so dear and close to my heart. I'm Kira Westwick, by the way, if we haven't met. But this is literally one of the most transformational or the most transformational tool that I have ever learned in my personal development journey. And especially as a mother and a business owner, this has profoundly impacted my life in so many ways. So I have a lot of information to get through. And I remember the first time that I heard it, it blew my mind a little bit. So take notes and don't fear, I am recording. I literally have like this cluster of notes that I'm going through. So I feel like I want to give it to you all, but I'm going to try and rein myself in. And I will do my best to keep an eye on the comments. But as I said, I've got a lot to get through and maybe we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end. So what I'm sharing with you guys is a journey that I've taken. I've been to 4 courses now. I've been to India for 10 days with the O&O Academy. I was introduced to it about 4 years ago when I was probably a year into building my business and I was really struggling with my internal state. I really felt like I was close to having a nervous breakdown. I was very stressed. I had a lot of anxiety and I wasn't dealing well with the juggle of being a mom, being a businesswoman, you know, trying to maintain friendships and a great relationship and all of the hats that we wear. And I had a lot of internal noise going on. And so I went along to my first Being Limitless experience, and it changed my life. It changed my internal world, which completely influenced my external world. And I continued the journey from there. I went to India last year for 10 days to study with O&O Academy, and it just took everything to the next level. So what am I talking about? Being Limitless is a journey where you discover the incredible power of consciousness over challenging life situations. It's about awareness and being aware of how you respond, how you feel, how you adapt to certain situations. A powerful consciousness can take you distances in life that tools and strategies do not. Now, I have done so much personal development, and honestly, there is a place for them all. None have ever been a waste of time. You know, Tony Robbins has impacted my life greatly. He also does these teachings now. He also travels to India to work with these guys, which is how I was first connected with them. So it's so incredibly profound, and I can honestly say, as I said in the beginning, that this has impacted my life beyond anything else that I've done. A powerful state can take you towards your external goals and achievements at an accelerated pace. And a powerful state can lift you above obstacles and hindrances that keep you stuck. Let me know in the comments if you've been feeling stuck in life, whether it be emotionally, mentally, in your business, in your relationships, where you just feel really challenged and really stuck, okay? Loads of you guys, all right? And we all fluctuate in and out, okay, of that. So, it's a natural feeling in life. So I really hope to empower you guys and gift you perhaps some awareness of ways that you can move through that through things that I have learnt over the past few years with O&O Academy. And since training with them, I can honestly say that I've shown up as a better mum. I've shown up better in my business. I actually like myself. I actually love myself, which is something that I have been searching for in all of my personal development things that I have done. It was the question that kept playing over and over. You know, I did so many things and I still could not love myself, and it was causing a lot of pain in my life, and I have been able to find that through this journey. So we're going to talk about how to move from limited states, okay? And limited states are all suffering states. So anxiety, stress, overwhelm, anger, anything that doesn't have you feeling joy and love, you cannot feel the two at once, okay? So you're either suffering or not suffering, limited or unlimited, okay? So how do you move from that to more expanded, limitless states such as joy, peace, love, gratitude, and connection? We have not been taught how to become aware of our suffering states so that we can move through them. And when we move into unlimited states, we are so much more powerful. So I know a lot of you on here today are part of either my business or a similar business model. And so, you know, some of you show up because you're working on yourself so that your business can grow, because as you grow, your business will grow. And this is completely applicable to all of that, because your internal state will influence your external environment, and the success or non-success is going to totally be determined by that. So I just want to link some things that we chatted about on our last call, which, by the way, I've created a new YouTube channel, which I'm going to link at the end of this call, and you guys will be able to have all of these recordings. Okay, so we really talked about how do you move from those limiting self-beliefs, right? How to move out of those. I gave you some tools for that. So there's a couple of books that I have that I just want to read a couple of things and just link it together to what we're talking about today. This is a phenomenal book. Okay, you can get it on audio, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Okay, on audio is really good, but it is really great to have a hard copy as well. Definitely a must read if you're wanting to grow yourself. And this is on Oprah Winfrey's Top. She actually interviewed him on her podcast. So go check that out as well. There is nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of the mind. You are the one that hears it. If you understand this, if you don't understand this, you will try to figure out which of the many things the voice says is really you. People go through so many changes in the name of trying to find myself. They want to discover which of these voices, which of these aspects of their personality is who they really are. The answer is simple: none of them. If you watch it objectively, you will come to see that much of what the voice says is meaningless, and most of the talking is just a waste of time and energy. Now, the profoundness of this is you have an internal dialect that never shuts the hell up, and it's freaking exhausting. Right? And it's all meaningless and a waste of energy. Think right now how much energy you waste every single day in self-suffering, self-obsessive thinking, right? And it's completely a waste of time and energy. Imagine if that energy and power was harnessed and unlocked for you to create the life that you want. Your inner growth is completely dependent upon the realization that the only way to find peace and contentment is to stop thinking about yourself. I say this with my hand up, by the way, so this is no judgment. This is looking in the mirror, okay? You're ready to grow when you finally realize that the I, who is always talking inside, will never be content. We spoke about this last week. Expect it. It's always going to be there. It's always hungry for more pain. It always has a problem with something. Honestly, when was the last time you really had nothing bothering you? Before you had your current problem, there was a different problem. And if you were wise, you will realize that after this one is gone, there will be another one. Okay, so our job is to create this tool with this awareness inside of ourselves to be able to acknowledge it, but then transition to a more resourceful space, a more resourceful consciousness. How do we quieten that mind so we can get in touch with our truth and stop obsessing over problems and things that don't even exist? Okay, they're all delusions that we create, right? We're obsessing about the past, which doesn't exist. We're obsessing about the future that hasn't happened, probably won't ever happen, right? That's anxiety. And it's about coming back to the truth, which is only the present moment, which is all that we have. One other little thing that I want to read, and then we'll get on to my notes, is actually a book that I got from One World Academy. So what do we mean by freedom, right? Because when you harness this skill, you will feel the most blissful freedom. I feel free for the first time in my life. I felt like I was suffocating for so many years, and I feel free to be me. I feel free in my feminine flow. I feel free in my business, in my relationships. It is the most incredible feeling. So what do we mean by freedom? It is not about external freedom. It is an internal state in which we are free of guilt and anger and free of the need to make others wrong and ourselves right. That will cause a lot of suffering, that one. It is about consciously freeing ourselves from hurt rather than indulging in it day after day, after month, after year, or even a lifetime. How many of you are holding on to hurts that happened when you were 6 years old, that happened in a moment of time? And you're still obsessing over it today and letting it F your life up, right? Or yesterday you had an argument with your husband and you're letting that hurt carry into today and F up your relationship and cause disconnection, right? So freedom is born from awareness, living from this place of awareness. You are not looking to be rescued and freed from your own suffering. There is no blame to lay on others. You are not holding another person as a prisoner in your mind, demanding that he or she unlock you from your own sorrows and fears. Write this down. Participate in your own rescue. It is no one else's responsibility but your own to rescue and free yourself. You will only suffer more by looking for joy and happiness and freedom in another, for them to bring those things to you. In awareness, there is a letting go of the perceptions that distort reality and keep us separate and alone. It is only in freedom that love can be born. When we are free, this is when we connect with the people around us. This is when we truly experience love and joy and peace and gratitude in our lives. And that is the goal and the place that we want to create from. That is a creative space. So we've got at the beginning to do this. If you guys want to take a snapshot of everyone smiling so that we can, tag on Instagram and do all that to create a powerful community of women where we're raising one another up. That is my goal. I hope that you guys all want to be a part of that and that you want to create that too, whatever that might look like. So 1, 2, 3, everyone smile. Otherwise we all end up with these awkward faces. I'm kind of removed from it anymore. I've been tagged in so many bad photos over the years in my business. I just don't even look at them anymore. Okay. All right. So I want to just give a disclaimer before we get started. Don't worry, I'm going to limit the swearing this time. But I do want to say this. I really need to say this, is that we are all spiritual beings. Okay. And I believe that we all know that there's something greater than ourselves, whether you label that God, the universe, whatever word you use. Religion is completely separate to what I'm talking about. Okay, One World Academy does not advocate any religion. Their teachings are applicable to no matter what your spiritual belief is. So if I use a word that isn't congruent with your beliefs, just interchange it in your mind. Okay, insert God, universe, whatever works for you. I don't want you to limit yourself because of your structures and beliefs. Okay, simply flow them into what you believe is to be true so that you can access the wisdom of these teachings. Okay, everyone good with that? All right, there is no religion here. All right, we're all one in this conversation. So we're going to talk about what we call a beautiful state, and this is the foundation of a great destiny. I believe you cannot have a great, fulfilling, incredible destiny without living from a beautiful state, creating from a beautiful state. The state of your consciousness determines the state of your life. Your internal state will directly impact everything that you're experiencing. Your relationship with your significant other, your kids, how you show up in your business, how you relate to yourself, your friends, all of that. If your consciousness is limited, your actions will be limited. The heart of greatness is a beautiful state. For you to manifest greatness and grow and sustain that greatness, you need to be in a beautiful state. Now, the nature of human consciousness, we have a very complex nervous system, and this is what separates us and gives us a richer experience in life than other animals, okay? So humans have the only capacity for that. So we are gifted with this extraordinary brain, and it wouldn't make sense for us not to access all of the realms of our consciousness and ability, right? Would you agree? Except the majority of us are just living in survival mode like animals, right? Getting from A to B. We're totally not using the realm of our potential when it comes to expanding our consciousness. So in limited consciousness, we limit our capacity to see beauty, and it becomes more and more limited over time. So when we are in self-suffering and we experience depression, anxiety, and all these negative spiral emotions, it becomes worse and worse over time. We get more and more limited, and it's harder to be grateful. It's harder to see the beauty in life, and just to be thankful about the little things. And our capacity to love becomes weaker, and the cycle of spending more and more time in these limited states perpetuates. So manifesting anything extraordinary in life requires a beautiful state. If you're not grateful, then you are not going to manifest more magnificent things. Like, that is just the reality. And we are constantly conditioned to live in these limiting states. This is the crazy thing, is that our education system has set us up to focus on knowledge and who we're going to become, rather than focusing on our inner being and being aware of our internal state, which is really the most powerful place to create from. Okay, so this is where we're really going to get into the most profound teaching. If anything you take out is just this next section, and that you practice awareness, because we have habituated how our internal state looks over many, many years. Like, your particular flavor or internal state habit might be anxiety and stressing about the future and fluffing about all the time, and worried about what's going to happen tomorrow and what people think of you and all of that. Another of you, it might be depression and constantly living in the past, right? Some of us mothers are constantly frustrated because we wish our present moment looked different, right? That the kids are tugging at us, but we're trying to work on our business, so we're frustrated. Rather than being present with what's in front of us, we're thinking about where we'd rather be, right? So we all have a particular flavor of that. And all suffering is that obsessive preoccupation with ourselves. When we're thinking about the future, when we're thinking about the past, when we're frustrated with the present, it's all self-focused. The inner world reflects our outer world, and we only live in one of two states: a suffering state, okay, which is a stressed state, or a stress-free state. Okay, we can only live in one of the other, a stressful state or a non-stress state. And behind every action, one of these states is the driving force, okay, that we create from. So when you show up to cook dinner, right, you're either creating that from a completely in flow state, everything's chill, you're present in the moment, you're enjoying it, or you're stressed, you're worried about the time, you're thinking about what you have to do after it, right? And the crazy thing about that is, at the end of the day, you don't accomplish anything by thinking about what's to come and by adding that internal stress to your life, right? So you actually get the choice of which one you want to create from, right? And one is going to be enjoyable and one you're going to be suffering in. And there's, a karmic consequence to which one you show up in. If you guys could just keep yourself on mute and help me with that, that would be amazing. Okay, so the non-stressful state is what we call a beautiful state. And this is not limited to ourselves. This is where we can impact others. This is where we create nourishing relationships. This is where we can create wealth from. This is where we get to impact our community from. Just watch that you're not knocking your mics, guys, and turning them on. We have not been taught to handle stress, okay? And so we suffer. And all of our education, as I said, is based on knowledge and logical thinking. And how many of us have actually been taught to look inside of ourselves? So many of us are living with confusion and chaos and an internal noise that is so loud that we can't think and show up as our best. In fact, I'll share you one. I've had 3 or 4 major transformations. And usually every course that I've done with One World Academy, I've had one massive awakening. And they're such simple concepts, but profound life-changing results. Okay, so I'll share one of them with you to hopefully connect what I'm talking about. So I have had an internal noise that is so loud that I thought that I was just an internal introvert, but really I was constantly just going within and self-suffering and self-focused, listening to this dialogue all of the time. And so particularly when I started this business, this got a lot worse, but I have had an issue with noise for many years. And I thought I can't handle noise. The way I describe it, let me know if you can relate, mamas, is I would even tell my kids, I feel like my ears are bleeding. Like, you have to be quiet, right? And so I'm in this meditation at this, thank God it's not only me. And out of nowhere, I'm not even focused on why do I not like noise, right? Out of nowhere, this awareness comes to me. And this is the thing, right, is the truths are inside of you. You don't need some guru to tell them to you. You just need to shut the hell up in your head so you can listen to your own wisdom. Anyway, it had become really bad because my business was in momentum. I was juggling a lot, and I found myself constantly crabby at the kids, especially in the car when you're confined in a small space. I would always lose it, right? And what I realized was they weren't being noisy. They were being kids, but my internal noise was so loud that their noise was competing with that. And that's why I felt like my head was going to explode. So who needed to be quiet? Me, not my kids. They actually were not doing anything wrong. And so you might think, oh, how is that such a life-changing thing? Well, because now the minute that I feel that frustration arise in me, it's a moment of inner pause where I go, that's right, become present. And this happens continually through the day where I start to feel that frustration if they haven't done what I've asked, or like, you know, you can apply it to so many situations. Whenever I get that feeling where I could explode, I self-reflect rather than project. I create a moment of inner pause. I take a deep breath. I ask myself, what's the truth? And the truth is I'm not present. I'm either thinking about all the shit I need to do, or I'm stressed about something else that happened, or what someone would think about something, or like I'm frustrated that I'm in the car rather than where I want to be. And I become present, and the internal struggle and the suffering goes away. And that is life-changing. Okay? Does that make sense? So next time you're feeling frustrated by noise, ask yourself who's actually the one being noisy. Okay, is it your internal noise? And you will find yourself being a much more compassionate, present-centered mother, and also in your other relationships. So becoming quiet within so that you have enormous energy to create and connect. We expend so much energy on this stuff. So when you see it, not only can you walk away from stressful states, you awaken a great power to create and connect, and you have purpose and you have freedom, right? The most beautiful feeling that you could ever feel is that freedom. So let's talk about these two states, okay? So one is called I consciousness, okay? And I consciousness is where we have chaos inside. This is the limit where we limit ourselves, okay? We cannot create abundance in this state. We have suffering. We are separated. We feel like no one understands me. And you feel alone even in a room full of people. You're constantly in battle. You fight against the universe, so you're not in flow. You're so self-focused. It's completely selfish. You are injustice focused, that this person, how could they do this to me? You have fear and anger, confusion, and that downward spiral of energy where you get sucked into that negative vortex, okay? And you probably have a lot of similar negative people around you if this is the state that you live in. And by the way, I used to live in this a lot, particularly in my 20s. The other state is called one consciousness, and this is an expanded state. This is where we get to expand our consciousness, and this is where we are unlimited in what we can create in our life. This is unlimited potential state. It's a beautiful state. We are nurturing. We're solutions focused rather than blame, shame, and justify everything. We have clarity. We have inner calm. This is where we have vitality in healing. So a lot of, disease and cancer sufferers, they're often are people who really live in that I consciousness state, a lot of internal suffering. And that was another aha moment I had at one of the courses actually, is that I've had some autoimmune issues over the past probably 15 years. And I realized that I've had so much self-hate, and the vibration of that energy, that thought energy in my body every day of self-hate, how could my body possibly thrive? Like the negative energy that I'm pumping through my body every day, of course it's attacking itself. When you live in a place of a beautiful state, this is a healing state. That's why so many people say that meditation was how they healed their body from different diseases. A lot of people, they attribute that, okay? Not saying, like, just disclaimer, not saying that you can heal everything with it, but some people say that they have. This is where you can create. This is abundance. This is flow. This is where you cherish life. You're grateful. You're present with life and the brilliance of an uncluttered mind. That is the freedom. And you're moving into a state of calm, connection, and creation. And this is where you have the ability to transform the people around you, the community around you, and really make an impact. So if you are in my business, for example, imagine the impact that you create from this state. And that is one of the reasons why we do our mission statements every morning, because it puts you into a state of gratitude and expansion and vision and excitement and clarity of the truth of who you are. It helps you access a beautiful state. Now, the easiest way for me to describe what a beautiful state feels like, it's when you truly feel grateful. You feel so grateful that there's no room for fear or internal noise, okay? And so hopefully you guys can resonate with that feeling of what gratitude truly feels like. Some people can't because they're bloody ungrateful and they've been that way for a long time. Once again, that was me. I used to constantly see the negative in every situation. I have re-habituated my mind to be able to be in a state of gratitude, which is a state of bliss most of the time. You know, even through some of the, like I've been through a lot of challenge over the past few months, you guys know, and I have not mastered being in a beautiful state, obviously, right? You don't get to master this all the time. You will move through challenges in life that pull you back and suck you back in to, you know, the fearful thinking, the anxiety, the stress, all of those negative emotions. But I have a tool to pull myself out as quickly as possible, to remember, you know, how to bring myself back to a state of gratitude so that I can create an amazing future and make sure that this challenge doesn't derail me. So which state do you want to live from? Let me know in the comments. One consciousness is where life is in harmony and unobstructed flow, and it's inclusive of others. So when we're in I consciousness, it's constantly about we're not enough, we don't have enough, people treat me like this, it's blame, shame, justify, everything's always everyone else's fault. When you're in one consciousness, you're present and connected. You feel one with the entire universe, okay? You feel connected with your kids, you feel connected in your relationship, you feel connected to the customer that you're talking to. So you're not in, you know, self-belief mode of like, I'm shit, I can't do this, I'm too scared. You're focused on serving that person, you're connected. So you have a vision. So you want to have a vision for your inner state, okay? This is the mother of all visions. We talk about vision boards and mission statements. And some of you who have done the mission statement training with me, and I'm thinking of doing that next week for you guys, you will have, maybe now you will realize that so much of my mission statement that I read every morning is actually a vision for my internal state for the day, how I want to show up. And it reminds me every day to come back to that truth. It gives you the power to move away from the suffering of those I consciousness states. Sometimes we wake up in those states, right? We've got a lot to get through in the day. Our kids are demanding breakfast and all of these things. And it's really easy to move back into frustrated mum's mode, right? But then I come back, I get my coffee, I sit there, I read my mission statement, and I remember this is how I want to parent today. This is how I want to show up in my relationships and my business today. These are the qualities that I am going to embrace about myself today. You know, flexibility and freedom and grounding and nurturing my spiritual state. That is your responsibility. And some of you, even after this call, will choose to stay in blame, shame, and justify rather than, you know, want to actually resource yourself, participate in your own rescue, and start the journey. So many of us have spent hours and days and years retreading the neural pathway of suffering, right? That whatever that thought is that you have over and over, I'm not enough, or whatever that is, right? It's like walking through a forest. You keep walking over the same pathway. It becomes really easy to walk that pathway. It's easy for you to fall back into your negative bullshit thoughts, right? That ruin your life. So you need to create a new habit to walk a new pathway. The first time you go down that way, it's going to be challenging. There's going to be a lot of branches and things in the way. But the more you go over that new pathway, the more well-trodden it becomes, and you now have rewired your thinking. An example of that is having a 30-day gratitude practice. The book, The Magic. If you are a negative thinker and you're constantly in that spiral, one of the best things you could do after this call is go and buy the book, The Magic. It changed my life. This was my first step to rewiring my thinking. My friend, I was having a whinge to her one day, and she's like, I really think you need to read this book. And so thankfully she loved me enough, right, to say that to me in that moment. Even that alone was enough to jolt me. Oh my God, I'm such a negative cow right now, obviously, because I need to read this book. And over the 30 days of doing that practice, I rewired my brain where I would just catch myself in a beautiful state. I just see the gratitude in so many things every day now by habit, right? Rather than constantly seeing the negative and what's wrong in every situation. You have the ability to rewire your thinking, but it is up to you, okay? All right. So do you want to be a stressful achiever or a relaxed achiever in this business? Okay, you are constantly going to be stressed and achieving if you're doing it from I consciousness. When you do it from one consciousness, you will have ease, grace, and flow, and you will achieve in a relaxed manner. Okay, it's much more enjoyable. So all suffering arises with a preoccupation with oneself when you isolate and disconnect yourself. It's your fault. You have to take responsibility, and it's freaking painful, and you are enslaving yourself to your mind. This creates a negative energy field around you, creating more suffering and robbing intelligence and creation from you. We are not intelligent when we are in these states. We respond in shitty ways, right? When the kids react or come to us with something out of the blue, or they're fighting, how unintelligent are you in response to that when you're in I suffering? I know for me that when I'm in a beautiful state, which I'm not all of the time, obviously, because I'm not a perfect human being, but when I am in a beautiful state, when my kids are annoying me, I actually can come from a compassionate, loving response and disarm them so quickly and beautifully that there is no chaos or disruption. When I am suffering and juggling and stressed, I am not resourceful in my response, and there is a karmic consequence to that, and that is disconnection from my kids, right? And it does not ever have a good outcome. So if you want to create abundance in your life, if you want to create wealth, if you want to have loving, meaningful, connected relationships, you have to put yourself in a state of intelligence, right? So a beautiful state is where a trickle becomes a downpouring of blessings, love, joy, connection, compassion, and abundance. How much time every day do you think you're living in a disconnected, suffering state? I wrote 80%. This is one of the first trainings that I did with them, and I wrote 80% of the time I thought I was living there at that time. So how much do you think that you're living in a suffering state every day? Let me know in the comments, or if you're too shy, write it down on your book so that you can come back to it later and really celebrate, how far you've come. All right. So spiritual vision, to live connected in a beautiful state as much of the time as possible. We're aiming for 100%, but you're never going to master 100%, but shoot for the stars, land on the moon, right? Okay. I'm so not going to get through all my notes. When you are in suffering, bring awareness to yourself. So like I mentioned with the kids, that story, right, of like, my ears are bleeding, right? That now creates a moment of awareness. Let me give you another example. And because I'm going to get to parenting in a minute, actually, just briefly. I know not all of you are parents, but we will discuss it. But when Madeline was younger, she started saying to me, are you going to do it now, mummy? And I was like, that's weird. And then it clicked, and I'm like, oh my God, like when you're juggling a lot and half the time you're not really listening to your kids and you're nodding your head and you're saying yes, but you didn't really hear what they said. Does any other moms know what I'm talking about? I feel so awful saying it. Okay, everyone's got their hand up, good. But I had conditioned her into such a state of uncertainty that when she would ask me for something and she'd say now, I would say yes without even really comprehending what I was saying yes to. So now didn't mean now to her. So she would look for certainty by saying now or now, which meant really now, right? And it really was a smack in the face to say, I'm actually cultivating a child who has uncertainty in her life, that my word is not my word. And it was a big wake-up call for me. And so once again, this was a new trigger awareness, so that the next few times that she said that, it was just like I would drop everything and be present with this kid, that she deserves my undivided, that it matters. Our words and our responses matter. That does matter, that I kept saying yes. And I was training her that my word meant nothing. So it's about having these moments, creating these pockets of space, this inner pause where we can get present again with the truth of where we're at or what's happening right in front of us. It's just so incredibly important, especially for our kids. Soon, yeah. My kids know that soon doesn't mean soon either. So bad. Okay, so it's not about justifying, it's just about observing. You don't need to justify why you're allowed to do that, why you had to do that, why you're juggling a million things. It's simply about observation, so that you can create a line of less resistance for yourself in the future. By the way, depression is an obsession with self. So depression is obsessing about the past and about yourself. And anxiety is stressing about the future. Frustration is wishing that the present moment was different. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer there. I understand that there are some cases of legitimate biochemical dysfunction where true depression and mental illnesses exist. My personal belief and opinion that it is a far fewer percentage than who are given medication today and who are labeling themselves with these issues today. Most people just have a severe case of self-obsession or staying, for example, I had some pretty traumatic events happen to me when I was a child that some people choose to mess up their entire life over and live in every single day. For me, I just chose never to be a victim, and why would I let one moment in time mess up my entire life and cause unhappiness in myself? Why would I let anyone have that power in my life? So those kind of things are a choice. Sometimes we do need help to move out of them. We do need, coaching, mentoring, counseling, whatever that looks like. So I'm certainly not advising that you should just get over it. But I think sometimes we have to get real with ourselves and honest with ourselves. Because I used to think I had depression. Now when I look back, I can see I was just self-obsessed and putting myself in suffering and not focusing on all the great things about life. The truth is, we live in a country that is the most wealthy in the world. And even if you're on the poverty line here, you're still one of the richest people in the world. Most people in the world don't have time to be anxious or depressed. They're just trying to feed themselves, right? So it's a Western disease. And to me, for the most part, it's caused by many other issues than true biochemical mental dysfunction. Just like it, and I only say that for you to bring awareness to yourself and ask yourself what the real truth is if you are challenged by that. Because I had anxiety in my life every day, even up until a couple of years ago, until I was able to master this stuff and bring myself through it without the need of medication or anything else that would change my brain chemistry. Okay. All right. If you want to create a great destiny, cultivate a habit of inner pause before you respond, react, or move forward. This one was important to me. I am an Aries, whether you believe in astrology or not. I don't know if I do, but I do believe that I am everything you say about an Aries. I'm impulsive, I'm passionate, I'm reactive, I'm quick to anger, I'm stubborn, I'm all of those things. So this one was really important to me because throughout my life, I have a habit of going from 0 to 100 reaction very quickly. And this inner pause, when you feel that frustration, when you feel that reaction, especially with our partner and our kids or in business, say head office does something that you don't like, you want to react, you want to blame, shame, and justify, cultivating a habit of inner pause is so incredibly important, because you will be able to respond to situations from a more intelligent space without causing damage to your relationships or your business or the people around you, okay? Because our inner state, whether you like it or not, completely influences every single person around you. As women, it is the state of your house, the energy, the emotional state of your household is your responsibility. as the mother, or, you know, if you're not yet having children, but you have a significant other, men just want to please us. Men want us to be happy. Our children just want to please us. They just want to see us happy. When we are not happy, it affects every single person in our presence. And so if you want your children to feel stressed and on edge all the time, then don't cultivate a beautiful state. If you want your husband to constantly feel like he's failing, then don't ever be happy. Right? You are responsible to create those feelings in yourself, and they will directly impact every single person around you. And so this is why this stuff is so important, because even if you can't love yourself enough to make this change, love your children enough. I remember Adam saying to me one day, the girls are tiptoeing around you. I think I was like on my cycle or something. And once again, it was another slap in the face, a moment of awareness. I don't want my kids to tiptoe around me, like anxious that I'm going to react in some way. Right? And so now when I feel that frustration arising, you know, usually I'm usually very calm and collected and quiet, but around my cycle was when, like, you know, I'm less kind of in control of those emotions. But I'm so much more resourced in being able to just let that pass and move back into a beautiful state without any karmic consequence on the people around me. Okay? We have to take responsibility for that. Okay. All right. So let's just briefly touch on parenting while we're talking about that. So children are our greatest teachers, and they're great at seeing what we cannot see in ourselves. Now, what's interesting is we live in a culture where adults are always right. Don't ever backchat. What I say goes, even if inside you know that you were wrong, that you shouldn't have reacted, that you shouldn't have said no. But I said, so I'm going to stand firm, and you better not question me. I just think it is one of the most damaging places to parent from. And while we're on that topic, if you want like the most powerful parenting book that you could listen to or read, it's The Conscious Parent, and her other book, which I think is An Awakened Family, is phenomenal. You know, when we get frustrated in our kids, or we see things in them that we want to change, or that we don't like, or they're reflecting something we don't like about ourselves, that is your moment to learn and grow. Not to blame them, shame them, yell at them. You know, it is so destructive to our connection with them. It causes separation. I just want to say this while I'm looking at it too. So eye consciousness, you look at that as like that noise that doesn't shut off is a thief that is stealing your joy. Okay, so the thief is coming in when you hear that noise. It's the joy thief, right? So call it out. We gave it a name last week. So connection ends suffering, right? When we're in suffering states, we are disconnected. When we come back to a beautiful state, it's when we are connected, and that's where, you know, time stands still and we're no longer suffering. Obsessions that destroy connection. Oh, okay, we're going to move into the parenting in a second. So obsessions that destroy connection. So apply this to your parenting and to your significant other relationships and friendships. This stuff is really important. This was game changer for me because I had a lot of rules and frameworks and stories and beliefs, okay? And the more rigid you are, the more rules you have, the more stories you have, the more beliefs you have that you must live by and everyone must live by around you, the more suffering you're going to create, okay? So number one is obsession over frameworks. So frameworks are okay until eye consciousness takes over and becomes obsession. So you're keeping score, you're constantly analyzing, you're constantly judging, you know, you're constantly holding people accountable to your framework of how friendship should look. You didn't show up in this way. You know, we have different values in life. For me, I'll give you an example, is I value being on time. That is a framework for me that for the most part serves me well in life because people feel respected. They can count on me. They know that if I say I'm going to be somewhere at a certain time, I've always been on time for my jobs. You know, like it's really important to me. Where it hasn't served me is when my friends who do not value being on time, my belief was, you don't respect me. How dare you disrespect my time? You're so selfish, right? How much do you think that served my friendships when almost all of my friends, funny, the universe always brings what you need to learn. Almost all of my friends are never on time. So for so many years, I'd get places extra early and they would be extra late and I'd be fuming, right? And that framework was actually destructive to my friendships. All right. So if you're constantly holding people to task on values that they actually don't hold for themselves, you're making them wrong and you right. And there is no wrong and right in life. There's just different perspectives, different values, okay? Different value systems, different frameworks. So sometimes when you're feeling frustrated or angry or judgmental or analyzing someone or controlling someone, you actually need to check in with yourself, and it's your frameworks that are causing that disrupt. Number 2 is obsession over controlling, and women are shocking at this. Controlling the other, especially husbands, everything they do, the choices they have, the views, how they're allowed to feel, what they have to do, where they have to be. You're being a policeman, you're trying to repair and fix the other person. Once again, complete world of suffering for you, even more so for them, and that will likely result in an ended relationship down the track. Complete disconnection when you're controlling. And the third one is obsession over emotions. So you're feeling hurt, you're obsessing over it, you're carrying forward hurts, what happened when you were 6 years old. You're constantly thinking about it today rather than being in the present beautiful moment. Holding on to who you're trying to become. You're holding on to settling scores with people, holding a grudge. The only person that hurts is yourself. So those obsessions in life destroy connection. When you are separated, that's when you suffer. So if you can stop obsessing over frameworks and trying to fit everyone into your model of the world, remember everyone is different and entitled to be so. When you stop doing that, you stop suffering. When you stop trying to control people and events and in the environment around you, you stop suffering. When you stop obsessing over what happened yesterday, you stop suffering. Does that make sense? Hopefully you guys can keep up, because I know that this is like a lot. When I first heard it, it's like I've done a lot of it now. So the more you listen to it, the more you become aware of your own state and how to move through it. And I will give you some tools at the end as well. So parenting, every day we are sculpting our children's future. For me, I want to nurture children who are a blessing to the world. Once again, we need a spiritual vision for our own internal state, but we need to hold a spiritual vision for our children and who we are cultivating them to become. I want my children to be a blessing to the world. So the girls are an extension of my brain. I shared this before. When I feel disturbed, they feel disturbed. So for me, I'm creating a vision for my children, an inner state for them of happiness, love, and compassion, so that they can contribute more love to the world. So in my parenting and in my present moments with them, I'm really trying to cultivate, really trying to give them the skills and resourcefulness to be able to cultivate a beautiful inner state for themselves as well. To know how to master that for themselves, to not live in states of fear and anxiety and stress, and how to come back to the present moment. That is a profound gift that I could give them. And then disciplining from a place of connection and love also reduces resistance. So when you come from an authoritative view that you must listen to me because I said, and this is how I see the world, and you wronged me according to my frameworks, you just cause disconnection. One of the greatest gifts you could give your kids is letting them know that you hear and see them, and what they see, what they say means something to you. Did what they say mean something to you? Let them know. It doesn't mean that you let them get off the hook for their crappy behavior. You still need boundaries. They still need to understand consequences. But when that is delivered with love in a connected state, a calm, connected state with your child, where you're having a meaningful conversation about consequences, they will more likely accept them if they feel heard. So understand that you hear them, that you see their perspective. However, there are consequences to that kind of behavior. Or sometimes you will see that you were in the wrong and you need to apologize. What a gift that you could give your children, to apologize when you are wrong. Apologize when you react, when you shouldn't have. When you want from 1 to 100 rather than just calm connection when you are disciplining them. Imagine if you just, let your ego go and apologize more often to your children. What a lesson to give them. What a blessing. So we create kind and compassionate beings through nurturing their inner state. So I just wanted to share that to help, you know, bring some awareness, that you bring some awareness to that in your parenting. All right, I'm like not even halfway through, so I might just skim to a couple of the important things. I wanted to share, because I know a lot of you suffer with self-love, and anytime I share this, a lot of people connect with this. So I want to share the other gifts. There are so many gifts, but the other profound aha moments that I had when I was at the different courses, and they all happened during meditation. And I used to hate meditation. I'm such an on-the-go person, a lot of noise in my head. So I'm certainly not here to convince you, but I can honestly say, as I said, I've done so much Tony Robbins and other people, and it was in my own meditation that I had the greatest transformation. As I said, one thing I've been searching for my entire life is self-love. And the other question that I took to a lot of my personal development is, why do I feel disconnected from my mum? And my mom is such an incredible role model for me. Like, she was an incredible mother who sacrificed everything for us, and who I am as a mother today, I absolutely model off so many qualities of her. And I don't have any memories of why I would have felt disconnected from her. And I have felt so challenged of like, why is it that I don't have, you know, that urge or that bond, that I feel so independent, and I didn't like that feeling. And all the personal development, I could not find the answer. And this was on the first time I visited this course. It was in the first 30 minutes, our first meditation. We weren't even deep in it yet. And the answer was so bloody obvious when it popped into my head. I can't believe I was searching for it for years. Do you guys want to know what it is? You know, when we say, I don't want to be anything like my mother, it's the disowned parts in yourself that you don't like about yourself. And what I realized was, I had so much self-hate, and I'm so much like my mother. It wasn't her that I was pushing away. It's that whenever I was in her company, I felt so uncomfortable because I was face to face with myself. So it wasn't her that I was rejecting, it was myself that I was rejecting, and being in her presence reminded me of myself, and I didn't like myself, therefore I felt uncomfortable. So I avoided being in her presence. Does that make sense? So when we feel that feeling, or we have those thoughts of not being like them, it's actually an unliked part about ourselves that we're rejecting. And the next day, actually, at that course, I had my next big profound moment in a deep meditation where I suddenly saw myself as a baby. And I was a cute baby, by the way, so it was easy to love myself. But no, but you know, when you look at your child, right, whatever age your child is now, especially when they were first born, were they not deserving of complete unconditional love as this divine being that entered the world? Absolutely. Why are you any different? And in this meditation, and this was not guided, this was my own, like, just profound, like, transformational, like, it was crazy. But I saw myself grow up, holding myself at every age, and just loving myself and giving myself the love that I deserved as this divine being. And for the first time ever, I loved myself. Like, I felt that beautiful space for myself, that compassion that I deserved, just like everybody else in this world. And it's impacted every part of my life. Now, did I feel that every single day forward? No, I've continued to work on that and grow on that. But this has allowed me to start repairing, you know, relationships, and to bring awareness to discomforts and things, and to be able to disarm those things and to get back into a more present, connected state, so that I can cultivate the relationships that I want with myself, with others, with my business, all of those things. So yeah, I kind of got through, we're an hour in. Maybe I do part 2 next week. Do you guys want part 2, or do you want mission statements? But basically, you know, the other stuff that I was just going to share with you is just how to move from those structures into more flow. Okay, part 2, because life just exists in structure or flow, right? There's only those 2 things. And when you live in constant structures, that's when you're having that pain. Probably what I'll finish off by sharing, because you're like, okay, well, how the hell do I live in a beautiful state? When I upload this video to YouTube, in the comments, I will link to the meditations that are very short. Okay, one of them's 3 minutes, one of them's 10 minutes. I cannot find a meditation better than these. The voice, the music, everything about it is just so nourishing to the soul, and they're quick. I don't have time to meditate for half an hour a day, especially if their voice is annoying, right? So I want like 2 minutes. Like now I can, you know, in those moments where I'm feeling anxious, 3 breaths is a meditation to become present, right? So these meditations will help you with that. And it will help you move into a beautiful state. You know, even before hitting play on this today, you know, of course I'm feeling nervous. Like I haven't shared this content in a long time. I've got notes everywhere, and I'm like, who am I to share this stuff? And you know, I just bring myself back to center and just imagine myself as the, you know, the universal light flowing through me. It's not me. It's just, if I can impact you in some way, then I will try. And that meditation just brings me back to that center. So I will share those with you. The other thing that I want to share with you guys just quickly. So Being Limitless is being held on the Gold Coast next month. And they came to me and asked, you know, would I share about it? Now, I don't need to earn an income from sharing things like this. And for me, I want to make it as cheap as possible so that more people can go, because I know the profound impact that it makes. So I've asked them to reinvest my affiliate earning into actually taking a discount off the ticket. So I get absolutely nothing from sharing this with you other than the joy of hopefully some of you being able to have this transformation too, okay? Hand on my heart. So I'm going to share the link now. You guys will get a $200 discount. And they said that if you get 20 or more bookings, they will further refund you another $20. Another $200, okay? But that's only if they get 20 or more. So I'm going to put that there. Definitely check it out. There's the code that you need for the $200 discount. I'm also going to put my new YouTube channel so that you guys can go and find those meditations later on. So please don't message me, because I cannot get back to 100 messages saying, can I please have the meditation, okay? Message me your transformations and those things, but this is where you will find the meditations, okay? But I just want to say as well, I got so many messages last week. I found a whole heap of them in an others file the other day, and I really do try and get back to as many as possible, and I read them, and I'm so grateful for them. So I want you to know that, that they never just fall on deaf ears. And already got a ticket. That's awesome, Dion. You're going to absolutely love it. So I might leave it there. I'll look at doing part 2 next week if I feel like there's enough value there. I'm also going to do mission statement training, which is transformational. And then I'm going to get some of these gurus on that have changed my life. I've already lined up some to come chat to you guys. So this time every Tuesday, please invite the women that are important to you in your life, because this is about impacting more than just your own life. This is the impact we can make in the world. And I believe we have a responsibility to do that I've been given this gift. And who am I not to share it with as many women as possible, the impact that will make in the community, to the children that are going to grow as conscious beings. We all can participate in this now. So thank you so much for spending your last hour with me. I hope that was helpful. Hope it wasn't too confusing. And yeah, I look forward to hearing how this can, how this may flow into your life. Definitely search O&O Academy, One World Academy. They used to go by One World Academy. It's changed to O&O Academy. But Preeta G, she has amazing YouTube clips. Okay, so on your morning walk, plug in and hear it from the source rather than the regurgitator, and you'll absolutely love it. So thank you so much.